Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here on this December the 8th. Tuesday, December the 8th. Listen, you know what? There's a mystery illness in India right now. And, one of the things about this, it's spreading so fast. Like yesterday, I took notice of it. It was like 200 people had it. And now today, it's like 500 people have it. And they don't know what the heck's wrong with them? Let's get the charts going right here and take a look at this mystery illness. Nobody knows what it is, but the symptoms are pretty clear. People, they have seizures, and they get wild headaches and nausea and all these different symptoms are having, and they have to run them to the hospital, but they don't know what the heck's causing it. Could it be some sort of an airborne illness? That doesn't necessarily mean that it would be an illness that's caused by a virus or a bacteria. There's other airborne illnesses. You can get from things like different gases that might escape out of the ground, or maybe it's a water supply. Who knows? Because this is a mystery illness. But we do know it's spreading very, very quickly. New Delhi health experts are baffled by a mystery illness that has left over 500 people hospitalized and one person dead in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. The illness was first detected on Saturday evening in Eluru, an ancient city famous for its hand-woven products. People started convulsing without any warning. They just started shaking all over, and convulsing. Since then, the symptoms ranging from nausea, anxiety, loss of consciousness, means they're passing out, been reported in 546 patients admitted to the hospital. Many have recovered and returned home, while 148 are still being treated. So we don't know what this is. Total mystery so far. It doesn't really, to me, sound like a bacteria or a virus, but if it is a virus, this would be really, really bad if it is something like that. But I tend to think it's not. I tend to think it might be something in the water or something in the air, maybe some sort of chemical or something. That's that's my feeling on it. Maybe it's something in the water that's maybe bacteria in the water or something. That's what I tend to think. But we'll have to wait and see, because for now, it's a mystery. Let's move on and take a look at the silver price today. We're looking at $24.52 for silver. It's up 5 cents on the day so far. And it looks like it's going along sideways in this new range it's established for itself just yesterday that runs between $24.40 and $24.80. And it's right in there at $24.52. Let's take a look at gold today. Gold is $1868.70 today, and it's up $6.70. Evidently, from what I understand, the first people are getting vaccinated now. They're having an awful lot of anyway, the first ones are getting vaccinated. Going to have to wait and see. Next year is going to be a weird year. I just know it's going to be a weird year. It's going to be weird. Weird in what sense? Everything's kind of coming together. January and February, Okay, I'll try to explain weird. If they don't do something, come January, food banks all across the United States probably are going to start to have difficulties obtaining the food they need to keep the people satisfied. They're already having difficulties, but, the system is not structured for this kind of a breakdown that we're having. We're having a breakdown. And it's inconceivable, in the United States of America, that you could actually have people starving to death, like in Africa. It was always, when I'm not saying anything against Africa or anything, but always when I was growing up, my whole life, it was always there was people starving in Africa in one place or another. And I don't know why Africa. I don't understand it, but I do know that there's missions and stuff to try to help the people in Africa. They would, different organizations, like would take donations and stuff to help the poor children in Africa. And, it was that way for many years, but that was probably about the only place on earth that there was actually people starving in the world, All the years I was like a young man and growing up, and everything, it was always that way. And they always tried to quash it out. Most countries didn't have starvation. It's just totally bizarre to have people actually starving in the United States of America, and that's where we're headed. That's why I say next year it's going to be a weird year. Now, at a certain point, when that actually starts to happen, like right now, it hasn't happened yet. They've held things together on a shoestring, like they've been big long lineups for food, and and grocery stores that have missing items on the shelves and everything. It hasn't really happened yet. They've been able to hold things together. But what about when it really starts to happen next year, maybe in January and February? How's that going to look to the politicians? I mean, this is America. We don't have children starving in the street in America. This is not Africa. This is not some country that's, like, this is America we're talking about here. And that's why I say it's going to be a weird year, because everything's set up for that to actually happen. And it's already people are already starting to go hungry, and this is going to intensify. It's going to grow bigger. And this is America. Come on. They're going to have to do something. It's as simple as that. I mean, we can't offer aid to all of these other countries who are in starvation over the years that we've offered aid to, and not offer any aid to ourselves and let ourselves starve in the street. Come on, this is America we're talking about here. I know I've said that about 3 times, but this is why I say it could be a very bizarre year. Weird. Everything's going weird. The weather's going weird. It seems like that 2020 was a lead-in to 2021, which might even be weirder, because I can't conceivably see them allowing the people to actually starve to death in the street in America. And so they're going to have to do some sort of and 900 billion ain't going to cut it. If they did 3.2 trillion last year, and we're in the condition that we're in right now, how's 900 billion going to stop it? Because, if you just do simple basic division, 900 billion, double that's 1.8 trillion. It's about, it's somewhere around almost 4 times as much they did last year, stimulus, and look at the condition we're in. So 900 billion, that ain't going to cut it. That's going to drop the ball, even if they can't even agree on that. But I just see that they're going to have to agree, or photos and stuff are going to start coming out. People filming this happening is going to start, and it's going to be an embarrassment to the world. Come on. Then they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to get something in gear, or this thing's going to break down on them, and it's going to be a huge embarrassment. It's already starting to become an embarrassment. Get your act together to the government and stuff, and start supporting the people. Not just supporting your other politicians and your and all these different markets and everything else that have total support. That's why they've went up so high. You got to support everything. And if this means the dollar's going to go anyway. It's going to go. It's going to fall It's going to fall off the hill anyway. The dollar. It's already begun. And I'll tell you another thing that's strange. It looks like that they're moving into Bitcoin, and this has already begun. Countries like Iraq and Iran and not Iraq. I get those two confused, racking around. I'm sorry, but Iran is already trading with their trading partners in Bitcoin. Well, what in the heck do you think they're trading for? Come on. You know what they're trading for? Oil. I'm not absolutely certain, but their trading partners are Russia and China. And China is one of the biggest importers of oil out there. And you got Iran saying that they're trading with their trading partners in Bitcoin. This means that oil's being traded for Bitcoin. That's the dollar's perch. Bitcoin's taking a swing at the dollar. With Iran starting to trade oil for dollars. I mean, not dollars, but for Bitcoin. This would mean that all these countries are going to have reserves of Bitcoin instead of U.S. dollars. This means that the dumping of the dollar's already begun. So the dollar's going to go down and fall in a blaze of glory, anyway. Why not support these kids through Christmas and stuff, and support everybody through Christmas with these dollars when they're on their downswing anyway? Why drag this thing out so bad to let people actually starve in the streets in America? That's what's coming next. It's coming in the new year, starting in January. If they don't get off of their, quit going on vacation all the time. And how many vacations do they take, for crying out loud? Just while they've been mulling over this bailout deal, they've taken like 2 vacations. We never get a vacation out here in the working world now. Vacations were something that I remember back when I was like 18 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old. In the old days, we used to take vacations. Now a vacation, who gets a vacation? They've ruined everything, these guys. And nobody's being held accountable. They're ruining our world, and nobody is being held accountable. This is the problem, is they're not being held accountable. They just come into office. They want to mess up the world as much as they can, and then get out of office with a big fat set for life. You know what I mean? And this is the way they do, and nobody's being held accountable for the bad decisions, especially financially. They just bail them out. No accountability. They can make whatever trade they want, whatever stupid trade they want, and the government will bail them out because they're too big to fail. Well, now Bitcoin's becoming too big to fail, and very rapidly becoming too big to fail. And especially when it's rooting itself in places where they're using it for trade, like for big trades. They're not using it to trade. They're using it to trade for a million barrels of oil, boom, a Bitcoin trade or whatever. Once Bitcoin starts to root itself in like that, it's getting rooted, in other words, what I'm saying. Around the world, it's starting to get rooted in the financial system. It's rooting itself in it. It's almost like these invasive weeds that grow like in the southeast United States. They got a weed called kudzu, and it'll grow over houses and everything else. And once it gets rooted, you can't get rid of it because the roots go down 40 feet in the ground. That's Bitcoin. And, for these people out there who say, well, Bitcoin's going to die and everything else. No, it's too useful. It's too useful in the world. It's rooting itself everywhere within the financial system. And soon it's going to cover everything. Cover the buildings like kudzu. Anyway, got to move on here and get this show on the road and take a look at the cryptocurrency today. Yeah, you see the Bitcoin price starting to drift back down a little bit, but I think we're coming into a period here where Bitcoin is going to go to a price. I'm going to give you guys price estimation. I think when it finally gets rooted and grows over everything like kudzu, it's going to get to a price where your retirement, because Bitcoin's so limited in quantity, and I think all the money's going to go into Bitcoin, not into these other coins so much. The real money's going to go into Bitcoin is what I think. And I think that it's going to get to a price where 0.04, that's 4/100ths of a Bitcoin, or 4% of one Bitcoin, will be enough to set your retirement. But I think if you're going to want a U.S. dollar, you want to retire on the U.S. dollar, I think you're probably going to need $500 million, at least. You know? Or 4% of one Bitcoin. So, I mean, this is where we're going with this, evidently, and ultimately, I don't think there's any stopping it now at this point, because they can't have everybody starving. And they got 50 million people in the United. Now, let's get serious. They got 50 million people in the United States that there might be gig workers. Maybe they work at a bar, or they might work in a bowling alley or whatever. Like 50 million, and that's probably conservative. Those businesses ain't coming back, and they don't have any skills to really fit in with this new working system where you work from home, and so there's no jobs going to be available for them. Robots are going to replace a lot of the jobs anyway, and if these people aren't supported, they are going to starve to death right in the United States of America. So yeah, they're going to support them. They're going to support them. But the question is, when are they going to start supporting them? And are they going to let them hang through this period, January, February, March? Are they just going to let them fall? Because they can actually start to starve to death in those 3 months if something doesn't come in. If they don't get some better system than we got in place right now. People can starve. I'm going to tell you something about this. When people have a high metabolism because they're used to eating an American diet, they starve quicker than in countries where they've been starving for a long time. The thing is their metabolism starts to slow right down, and you're starting from a position of a very slow metabolism, so it takes a long time to actually starve if you've been a person that's been starving for a long time. But if you take somebody who's been feeding well, really eating well, and they eat a lot of calories, and their system is running really fast, they starve much quicker. And so that's the typical American, and when I say American, I'm talking about North American. We exist on a North American diet. Is a diet that's heavily rich in a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of calories. And so, well, you remember the Survivor show? They put them on the island or whatever, and they'd give them some food, they'd give them a bag of rice or whatever, but they'd be on a calorie-restricted diet, maybe only 500 calories a day or whatever. And, they'd only be on that island 10 days or 15 days, and some of them are well-muscled men, and you just see the muscles falling off of them every day that went by. Their muscles would be shrinking. And I seen one guy on the Survivor show, he had to quit, because his muscles were shrinking so fast he got scared, and he quit the show and didn't want to play for $1 million anymore because his body was just disintegrating at hyperspeed because he had such a fast metabolism. He needed all those calories every day to support. And there's the thing, it takes an awful lot more calories to support muscle, than it does to support fat. Fat requires very little calories to be supported. So a well-muscled individual, somebody who's what we call ripped, if they don't get their feed, they go downhill so fast because there's not much muscle there, not much fat there, and if they're not getting their calorie intake, the body will actually consume the muscle for fuel, and there's not much fuel in muscles. It goes through it really fast, and they can get sick very quickly. They can go downhill and get sick if they don't receive their vital food that they need daily. And so they're dropping the ball on this. January, February, and March. I see them getting these programs going in by about by about the end of March or something. That's central bank digital currency, put it on people's phones, send them the money, and then they can go out and buy some food. I can see that coming, you know. But the thing is it might take them a while to get it in. Until that time, they're dropping the ball on this whole situation. And so January and February might be really bleak because it's the middle of the winter, too. People can't go without food in the middle of the winter. What are they going to do? Dow Jones Industrial Average today, it's up 84 points, 30,153. And crude oil is 45.71 today. So it's went up to $45, and it's been going along sideways now again. The MOVE index, we're seeing the MOVE index go up now. It's starting to move up. This is the first time in a while now. Been going along sideways for quite a while. We're getting a move in the MOVE index. Now, about 75 to 100, if this MOVE index gets up to, then we start to see instability in the credit markets. That's why this index is so important. It shows the stability of the credit markets. When the MOVE index goes up too high, you know, that's when things are starting to get frightening again in the financial markets, where we could have a freeze in the credit markets. Bonds and rates today. We're looking at bond yields falling today. And who's buying this stuff? You know, I mean, you're going to give people your money for 10 years, and you're only going to get 0.91% per year? And the yields are falling on it. And falling indicates that somebody's buying it. And this has been the way the last few days. You know, I think they're already doing yield curve control, but I think they might be doing it QT not really announcing that they're doing it. Let's take a look now at the dollar index. And the dollar's going along sideways today. So there we go. We got a crazy topsy-turvy world, guys, right now. And it's going to get even more topsy-turvy in January and in February. More uncertainty. And things might actually start to hit the fan a little bit, I think, in January and February. And how far will the people will the people actually take this starvation before the people get upset and something happens? So we can see the starvation in at least 50 million Americans starting to hit, like they're not going to have food on the table. So how far will that go before it triggers like something bigger? Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next episode. Bye-bye.